A lot of you are creating content on hard mode, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly what I do to literally use an hour a day and create multiple pieces of content across multiple days. And so the biggest mistake that you're making right now is you're treating every single platform, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, email, every single one of these platforms is serving a different job, and it's also serving different ideas and different tasks. And so you're literally creating one piece of content for YouTube and then a completely different idea for Instagram and then a completely different one for TikTok, completely different one for email. And so what you can do is you can spend 1 hour in the morning, and this is what I do. I wake up early. It's a clear time to actually execute some of my writing and my research, and I research topics and then I write them out. And so you get this document using the modified version of the Feynman technique. You can find that in the link in the description. You generate ideas from your research. You literally start with a specific question around one topic, and these topics can literally come from your client questions. You're talking to the actual market, so they can come from leads, and they can come from ideas around other creators that you maybe have a contrarian take to, or maybe you disagree with, and you can explain those ideas in your writing piece. And so what you do is then you research, you have the question, and then you research these ideas. You literally go to these sources, and this is where we can use AI. We don't want AI to think for us, okay? And that's why you have to be very particular with how you prompt AI in the scenario. You need it to get you sources so you can validate that what your idea is actually true, because you don't want to be convicted on a specific idea and you write all about it, and then it's oh, whatever you're talking about is completely untrue, and then it depletes all the trust that you're trying to build in your content. And so that is one of the biggest important components within this, is that we use AI to source the actual information that we then use to write. Okay, and so again, we start with the topic and then we develop the question, because arguably the question that we ask is more important than the answer, because the answer sits downstream of the question. And so this is why the question that you develop is so important. And so what you want to do is you want to explain this topic as if you were teaching it to someone. And so basically the Feynman technique is we have the topic, the question, and then we try to answer the question with everything that we currently know in our brain without the outside research. And so literally step 1 is the topic / question. Number 2 is we explain it without research. That way we can lay out everything that we know about that topic on the table, so we can understand where we currently sit around that topic. What information do we have around that topic? Number 3 is then we're going to do the AI. AI is going to pull the sources, and we're going to answer the why that we got caught up on in our explanation. Because basically what we're doing is we're writing until we don't understand something. It's okay, why does this not make sense? That's what we're going to research. And so AI sources that information, and then we iterate over that. We use that information that we found to then continue writing. And then we read it back, we read back our explanation, and then lastly we teach it. And so we teach it to ourselves, or we teach it to a family member, we teach it to a friend. And so what this does is now you have the depth of understanding of this topic, which is very, very important for our later distribution. Okay, and our later distribution is we're using this. Now you have this in-depth writing piece that you wrote out, but you also understand it in your brain. This is a brain. And so you know everything that's in this piece of paper because you were the one that wrote it. AI did not do the research for you. And that's why you're able to now sit down on YouTube videos and talk about that topic. You use that writing for email. You use that writing for Instagram. You use that writing for TikTok. You get the point here. You have this depth of understanding that you can now iterate and use every single platform for the entire day. And so you're getting multiple surfaces with multiple different touch points, which is incredibly powerful. But not only that, you also understand this topic that you can later use with your clients, with your content strategy, right? Like your actual content or meta level strategy, implementing those findings into the tactical level so that you can make more money and get better client outcomes. This is the core premise of why we write. It can feed so many different things within our business, within our mind, within our understanding, within our motivation, mindset, our depth, okay? And we can discuss these topics because we understand it. We don't need a teleprompter. We don't need a script. We can literally just discuss these topics off the cuff. And since we understand it, we can display it to our clients so that they get better outcomes. We can build a community around these topics, okay? And that's exactly what I'm doing. Again, my handwriting's terrible, so bear with me. But like this is the most important thing. And you also have other different channels. Like you can publish this thinking into Medium. You can have like a Patreon. And so this one piece of writing was transformed into multiple different pieces of content. And you can use these, and what it does, it creates a spider web effect. And I'll explain what I mean by this. So like with your writing piece, you now have variants in different questions that you can create within that singular writing piece, which makes you create other different writing pieces, which then creates other different assets on Instagram, email, YouTube for each one. And so this one core idea of what you wrote into 3 different writing pieces here, which then created literally 3 YouTube videos, 3 emails. So like, let's just say 8 different pieces of content. And so that's the spiderweb effect of writing, is that it creates other topics of discussion, other questions that we can elaborate on, more assets that we can actually publish information on, or education or entertainment, whatever field you're going into or whatever field you're currently in. There's also an even stronger symptom of this process. And so the symptom of this is that you are now unique. You now communicate your ideas differently than everybody else. Everybody else is talking about hooks, right? They're talking about tactics. They're talking about, copy your favorite creator and just replicate everything that they do. And it's like, now that we have unique ideas that we actually wrote out and deeply understand, we now have a unique angle on everything. On everything. Not just these hooks and these tactics, but like this meta level understanding of how we have a unique edge against everybody else in the market. And so the writing is where the edge actually comes from. It increases your depth of understanding, gives you assets to distribute. And like, this is one of the biggest unlocks. You not only get smarter, but you actually get more leverage in terms of your own personal brand and your own business journey. And so stop making content the hard way. Stop trying to create new ideas for every single, platform and like you're literally just creating new ideas on Instagram. You're trying to create new ideas on YouTube, new ideas for email, when you can literally write and create a ton of different assets and then create the spiderweb effect of different questions that you can then create more assets on. It's like, it's the most insane thing. This is what I developed. Okay, this is, I'm sure other creators are actually doing this, but like, this is literally one of my own light bulb moments that I was like, this is the most powerful way to actually create content, because I'm not using AI, I'm not copying other people. I have unique angles and perspectives on things, which gives me a competitive advantage. If there's one thing that you need to walk away with, it's this: download the Feynman technique and actually use it. Like, it's literally in the link in the description. I also have this interesting Notion sort of YouTube tracking system that I've been using to track all of my, this is day 26 of my Talking Head Challenge. So you can go ahead and download that as well. I'll put the link in the description. So hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.